Hello and welcome to another edition of the Sac Dugout Show. I'm your host Todd Sullivan and I'm here with co-host Dominic Morris.
On today's program, we'll be talking with longtime baseball enthusiast Tony Asaro about the community in baseball and just about Sacramento baseball history. And later on in the show, we'll have another edition of the Hot Corner with Jess Lima and more. Welcome to the Sac Dugout.
Tony, for many years you've been a staple of the Sacramento community and well beyond the regions here in Northern California. And your motivational speaking is just upper echelon of motivational speaking, and to this day I hear kids talk about you and they're so happy and excited every time they hear that you're going to be coming around. What got you started and wanted to get into motivational speaking?
Well, I was in the 6th grade. As a young child, I was very, very shy. And I had a 6th grade teacher, a man, his name was Dean Neely, and he came to me one day. He'd observe me all the time, out playing with the kids out on the playground, and he said, "Tony, we're going to have a talent show, and I want you to be the MC." I went, "Oh, Mr. Neely, there's no way. I can't be the MC. I can't talk in front of people." He says, "Oh no, I see you out there doing impressions of Jackie Gleason and John Wayne in front of all your friends and just making them laugh." He says, "I just want you to be who you are." And so he worked with me, and I was the MC of that show, and it was amazing. And that year, he later came to me and he said, "I want to enter you in a Rotary speaking contest." I said, "Mr. Neely, I'm not sure I could." "Oh, I'm going to work with you." And so he and a neighbor worked with me, and I have 2 trophies, gentlemen. Two trophies that I have won in my entire lifetime. That year, my Little League team won its championship, and I won that speaking contest for the Rotary, and it changed my life.
Wow. So the first time speaking, winning an award, and for baseball.
I still have those 2 trophies. My 5 kids have a whole garage full of trophies that they just signed up for. But I have those two, and they're about this big.
But it means the world, though.
Everything.
So let's switch. Since you're talking about baseball and Little League, I want to know. You're a Sacramento native. I want to know, what is your take on the history of Sacramento baseball? From your eyes, from Little League all the way to the pro ranks. I want to know. What are you seeing in baseball that Sacramento has to offer?
Well, it's an amazing town when it comes to baseball. Our history goes all the way back to the days when Alexander Cartwright came across the United States and was headed to Hawaii. He stopped here and started the teams, the club teams here in Sacramento. And back in that day, they were all named after breweries. It was the local brewery, so it was the Gilt Edge or whoever it happened to be. And then in 1904, the Pacific Coast League opened up, and the Sacramento Senators became the team for Sacramento, and eventually became the Solons. As a young child, my dad would take us all to the Solon games on the corner of 13th and Broadway, right, Riverside and Broadway. And there was an old ballpark called Edmonds Field. Before that, it was called Mooring Park. And you'd be interested is that when it first started, the park changed over those from 1904 through 1960. It started in Oak Park.
Really?
The original ballpark was in Oak Park, and then moved to this site on Riverside and Broadway. And I would go there, and we didn't have any air conditioning in the house. The Delta breeze would come up. We'd watch the games. After the games, I'd run out on the field and grab the cushions. After the games, the fans would throw cushions out on the field, and all of us kids would gather those, and they'd give us 10 cents a cushion, and I'd have enough money to go to the ball game the next night. So it's just a great time, and I saw so many of the old Solon players, the Kuno Berrigans and the Buddy Petersons, and just on and on and on, who were in this town. We have just an incredible history in this town. And we also, one of our teams, Little League teams, went all the way back and won the Little League World Series back in the day. So we've had some great Little League teams come out of here too.
It's crazy. That's a crazier knowledge of baseball in the city. And looking back on those days, what do you think has changed today? I know there's a lot of baseball teams from the pro ranks all the way to little leagues.
Right.
And we have the same thing today, but it's a little different. Could you maybe share with us the different changes you've seen from 2013 baseball to the days you grew up?
Well, I think the biggest difference was back in that day, once I took care of my chores at home, my mother would say, get out of the house. And we would go out and we would play. There wasn't any of this. There was no TV or video games. We were outside, and we would play until it got dark. Because if I came home too early, my mom would put me back to work, and I didn't necessarily want to do that. So if we had 9 people, or if we had 18, or if we had 6, we'd figure out a game of baseball to play with those kids. And I remember we had a little girl across the street. Her name was Susie Rossman, and Susie was a lot younger than all the rest of us, and she was kind of a pudgy kid. And we'd stick her on third base, and she would bring her little teddy bear and sit there on third base. And if anybody hit a ball to third base, they were automatically out. Didn't matter whether Susie looked at you or anything. You were automatically out. I learned how to hit the right field. I learned how to play the game of baseball by playing the game. And as coaches, you two guys understand. You'll see a ball player and you'll go, he's a natural. He's not a natural. That's the kid who played the game, who played pickle, who played all of those little games that, three flies out and so forth, played catch and played the game, played wiffle ball for hours and learned how to hit the curve and learned how to hit a ball that didn't come straight at you. That's the difference, because we got great athletes today,
Absolutely.
Better athletes than when I was growing up.
Yeah, one of the big things were wiffle ball tournaments when we were just
huge.
kids. And what I mean by tournament is it would be, the Quimby block is playing Boyce Drive block, and the winner of that's going to play the Tangerine block. So back then, not only did we have sandlots, but there was also these little organizational groups from where you lived, because there were so many kids in this area playing ball.
Yes.
Back then, we didn't have to try to scrap 9 guys together. There was already 18 out there ready to go at it. These days, you really got to peck and hunt to find enough kids to come out and
You do,
and
and
do
you have to have
something like
all the equipment, and we would play with whatever we had, and girls, come on, you're on our team. We need the bodies. Come on out.
So
and play.
that'd be so. With all your knowledge and of the history with Sacramento, from little league, high school, rec, and so on and so forth, what is one of the most memorable teams for you from the Sacramento area?
Oh wow, gosh, I would say probably. I'd have to go to the current teams. I think the most memorable team, and I have great memories of individuals, but as a team, I think that 2003, 2004 Sacramento River Cats team, those 2 teams were incredible. With the Bobby Crosby, the one year we had Manager of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Player of the Year, Silver Slugger of the Year, Pitcher of the Year, and all of these guys went on to be very successful in the major leagues. But they were just an amazing group, and yet we probably had 80 different players who came in.
That was the same year the PCL All-Star Game was filled with a lot of the River Cat players.
Exactly. So I'd say, even though I've seen some great ones play that at the major league level, I would say that was the team that I thought was probably the most impressive of all time.
Any on the high school level from all the great high schools in the area? Any standout clubs over the year that you could recall?
Grant High School, which is now on a rebound, at one time had one of the most powerful baseball teams that I've ever been a part of or around. They still tell some of the stories of the home runs hit by Leon and Leron Lee over, Norte del Rio doesn't exist anymore, but over the basketball area there. They were amazing teams, and they were very, very deep, had great pitching. Today, if you're lucky, if you have 2 good pitchers that you can go with, and maybe 3. Some teams like a Elk Grove or a Jesuit may have 4 decent pitchers, but back there they were deep at every position.
Well, I mean, your knowledge of baseball and just what you do for the community is really what I want to touch bases on. I think you're one of my mentors. In fact, I know you're one of my mentors. I've been following you since 2006, and it's just, it's passionately, I think we're on the same line, and it's something I need, and I'm pretty sure you feel the same way. To me, it's not work; it's
Right.
it's a passion.
Right.
And so, where we're at now, if you haven't heard Tony speak, I'm surprised because almost everybody has, and if you get the opportunity, you really should. And I know we can find you. You have a new website coming out. Where can we go to?
Would it be Tony, Tony, period, ASARO.com or .net. You can Google that or put that on your computer and get directly to my website. Has a bio, has all the information, has my mission statement. I believe that it's our responsibility to educate and to create the best that we can in our community through the pillars of character. Respect, responsibility, honesty, truthfulness, courage. Those are the reasons. At the end of the day, we ultimately want to bring our best. And that's what I talk to kids about. Bring in your best. And some of us are bigger and faster and stronger than others. Some are smarter. Some are prettier. But if we bring our best every day, doesn't matter what the final score says at the end of the contest. Doesn't matter whether you run out of time or not. You can never be defeated if you bring your best. And if each and every member of that team brings their best, there are going to be times when you fail. I mean, the game's designed to fail 70%. If you're the greatest, you fail 70%. But if your teammate picks you up and everybody brings their best, you can't lose. You can't lose. So that website, tony.asaro.com or net, will get you to me. Or you can certainly call me at 916-214-9405.
See what I mean? In just 60 seconds of his answer, it just motivated me. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to go to my favorite segment, the Hot Corner, where we'll have a good old-time guest, Jess Lima, and of course, Tony Asaro, Dominic, and myself. We'll be right back after these messages. Your roster, how many pitchers would you say you keep throughout the year? What does it take for a team to be successful? There's so many teams right now going that avenue. A lot of the kids, they want to be with their friends. They feel more comfortable if they're around people they know. How do you get kids to stay on the team? What do they need to be successful in their community as a baseball league? So how do you keep that morale going to make sure they're all there on every road trip? Welcome back to the Sac Dugout Show. Here is what we call the Hot Corner. We're going to go around the horn real quick with a couple of topics. Let's get started, will we?
All right, one of the topics of the day is instant replay in baseball. It's been proven this past Little League World Series as to be a viable source to get calls right. And in Major League Baseball, they've been struggling to incorporate that into the game. I just want to go around the horn and just ask a general question. Do you think instant replay is something here to stay, or you think it should be out the game?
I think it's here to stay, personally. I don't think it's going anywhere. I disagree with it 100%. It's a part of baseball is human. I mean, it's the essence of the failing 70% of the time and succeeding, only 30% of the time. The human aspect of baseball, to me, is what makes it a beautiful game. But I understand that this is a commercially driven game now. It's a lot different than just it's not just the natural baseball in anymore. So I understand that it's going to be here, and I understand the want and the drive to get every call right, make it perfect. But I don't necessarily think that equals the purest game. That doesn't equal the purest form of baseball.
Well, I could agree with it because if you look at football, they got the instant replay, they got the call-in review. And I think for certain plays, I think it's absolutely a place for it. Foul or fair, balls, home run dispute. I don't think balls and strikes should ever be instant replay. I think it should be a character. It should be
and I could be okay with that. Just balls and strikes.
But let's look at the speed of the game, though. Like now, like today, 2013, a baseball game average is 3 hours. Earlier it was 2.5, 2 hours. The game is a lot slower now. So I'm all for it if there's any way to speed up the game to make the decision more strong and more sharp. I'm with that because it's kind of hard for me to watch baseball these days where it's 3 hours long. So I'll be in agreement for it just for the accuracy and the speed of the game that I love.
I have to agree with both these guys. I mean, I love the human element. I think that that's part of what the game was originally designed to be like back in 1845 when Alexander Cartwright started this whole thing. And that element needs to be there. I agree with you. The balls and strikes, if we get to the technology of doing that, then we've totally missed the point. Because as a manager, isn't that what you want? You want to learn the strike zone of that umpire. Is that right?
Use it
That
to
is
your
absolutely
advantage.
correct.
Absolutely.
As a pitcher and a coach,
strategy
that's
there.
what I want
As
to
long
know.
as he's consistent. So,
Correct.
so the key is to make umpires, number one, not have them be the most important thing on the field. That they're not even noticed, and to be consistent. To be consistent. Those would be the two things that I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
think, once they started putting up the track zone and that little box so
K-zone.
you can see, where it's at as a pitcher, that just drove me absolutely nuts. It's like that has no meaning up there. Are you trying to prove somebody wrong?
Right.
What's the point?
Right.
But with instant replay, I think that, I saw it happen in Little League. It's only about 15 to 20 seconds of them checking the review.
Right.
correct.
But I think it would be great to make sure all the calls were right. But I do see where it can linger and cause a problem. Guys on base, balls hit down the line, fair or foul.
Right.
The ball's hit deep to the outfield. Was it trapped?
Right.
Did he catch it?
Right.
Where are the runners going to end up on base? Where are you going to put them? If they called it out, the runners didn't move. But if it bounced, how far did it go? Did it roll to the wall? So I do see some things working out. But, being a pitcher, umpiring for many years that I have, I think the human element is a part of baseball. I think it's something that it could be worked with, but they really need to refine it and define it to make sure that it's going to implement in the system. I think, the preseason games, let's test it out. Let's see how it works.
Right.
And then make the adjustments throughout the year there.
The key too is it's something that you brought up, as you said, games run too long now, and those are games that are televised. All of the games are televised. All 162 of the major league games are televised. You eliminate the commercials. You eliminate, the money. That's never going to happen. But
Yeah.
that's how you're going to get a game to happen more quickly. Pitchers would love to be out there and moving right away, but they have to wait for
That's
for an
signal.
okay from the TV people.
Need 20 seconds.
That's right.
Yeah.
And same thing in football, right?
Yeah. Another thing too is these umpires. I think instant replay will be good. It'll be a good deterrent for all these umpires that's grandfathered in, that's
Right.
not going to lose their job.
Right.
They kind of bring a little arrogance to it. So I think that if there's some kind of trump card, which is instant replay, it could maybe change the attitudes of a lot of these umpires
Agree.
just in the MLB, because bad calls happen all the time.
Cowboy Joe West.
Yeah, for the fact that we know umpires' names,
Yeah,
I
shouldn't
think
happen.
I think that's a problem right there. So I think if there's almighty
Measuring stick to hold it to, yeah.
I think it'll be better for the game.
I agree.
That's a good point.
There you go, guys. Hey, Sacramento. Phenomenal town, great town, baseball town. So many gentlemen have been brought up through the ranks and to the major leagues here in Sacramento. So let's just throw it out there. Who is one of your memorable and favorite and most valuable Sacramento baseball players?
Wow. Well,
I have a lot of bias because I'm not a Sacramento native.
Nor am I.
I'm an
Okay,
Oakland
that's
native, but me coming to Sacramento, I met a lot of great Sacramento players, and I know there's Dusty Baker and there's big names, but I have to give it up to Leon Lee. I know he's probably not the biggest for major leagues, but he had a nice career in the Japanese league, and I'm just basing it off of high school and what he did in the community of Sacramento. Like what you said,
Yes.
Tony, at Grand High School.
still talk about it.
Yeah, he was a legend. So I'll have to throw my hat to the Lee brothers with Leon Leron.
668 home runs in Japan, the Lee brothers. They are the Lou Gehrig and the Babe Ruth of Japan, and the first black manager in Japan,
And scout.
Leon Lee.
Awesome.
Almost every Asian Pacific ball player who's come to the United States has come through those two gentlemen. As a matter of fact, in the World Classic last year, Japan was not going to come. It was Leon that they went to work with them to
Wow.
make sure that they got here.
What-
Great call.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah,
call.
big time.
What's real good too is, I don't want you know, there's brothers, you know, and then there's father's sons.
Oh,
you
yeah.
have Darren and Bob Oliver.
Yes.
You know, you have
Another
Leon and Leroy.
Yeah.
You know, so it's definitely a family thing going on right there. You know, Dusty Baker, of course, you know, I think is one of the staples that all the kids looked up to. A lot of the people that are even playing at this level know who he is, so he's probably definitely going to stand out there. But being a pitcher and being a Cardinals fan, because my favorite player when I was growing up was Ozzie Smith, Bob Forsch.
There you go.
And
Brothers.
Brothers, he also, and that's why I brought up the brother thing.
Both brothers pitched no-hitters in the big leagues, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Out of
So
Johnson High School.
That's my man. My bias is just being a pitcher.
Excellent.
I have to go with Dusty. I mean, I'm not from here. I'm actually from Southern California, but I was raised on the orange and black. And he, I mean, when I first started watching the Giants, it was Dusty with his toothpick, you know, and some phenomenal, you know, mid '90s to early 2000 teams. But there were some great baseball players that come through here. Fernando Vina,
Yes.
FP Santangelo. I mean, these guys, they didn't have. I mean, Vina had a really good, pretty good, solid pro career. And FP, hey, he's doing great things now as an announcer and an analyst. I mean, he's got quite a character. And
Larry Boa.
yeah,
Larry
Larry Boa.
Steve
Yeah.
Sachs.
Greg Vaughn.
Yeah. Greg Vaughn, yeah, he's probably the best, I think, overall
Home runs,
stats-wise,
yeah.
than anybody, yeah. I got to meet him at Rayleigh Field.
And then I think you got to, you know, I'm all with you with Dusty. Dusty, I believe, is going to be a Hall of Fame
Yeah.
as a manager. Jerry Manuel, the other one, out of
Definitely.
Cordova
Very
High
active,
School.
too.
Some great ones out of Cordova have
That's-
come through here.
You know, some of the biggest Major League Baseball players have come from like Cordova. You know, Christian Brothers brought a lot of people with, you know, with Andy Fox and all those
Exactly.
guys.
Exactly.
But I was amazed when I was going in and trying to go back because I knew a lot,
Right.
but I knew there were many.
Right.
And just seeing how many Cordovas, how many Burbanks,
Right.
you know, back in the 50s,
McClatchy.
60s, and 70s. And then all of a sudden the 70s, 80s, it became McClatchy.
Right.
And then in the mid 80s, it was Kennedy.
Right.
And then all of a sudden with your Vina, it was Valley in the early 90s.
Right.
So it's all Metro.
Right.
You know, it's all the Metro League kids, which
Right.
is just, to me, puts a great smile on
You
my
got to give
face.
some shout out to Woodland.
Dustin Pedroia.
I mean,
Jesuit,
it's-
they've
Jesuit.
had some good kids drafted, not yet
Unbelievable.
showing up yet, but yeah, they're in the ranks.
So all of those teams, all of those, just
Yuba City's got
Stassi.
Stassi now, so
Yeah, so some great ones have just come through here.
Absolutely.
It's a great place to be from.
Yeah, well, I'm from the Bay Area, so
I
we're
know.
rich with talent.
no,
Ricky Henderson,
absolutely. In
Jimmy
Southern California,
Rollins.
is, you know,
Jermaine
baseball.
Dye,
Yeah.
Sabathia.
I'd say
I know,
California,
I know, but, you know,
California in general.
But
is,
Sacramento's a great place.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Your roster, how many pitchers would you say you keep throughout the year? What does it take for a team to be successful? There's so many teams right now going that avenue. A lot of the kids, they want to be with their friends. They feel more comfortable if they're around people they know. How do you get kids to stay on the team? What do they need to be successful in their community as a baseball league? So how do you keep that morale going to make sure they're all there on every road trip?
You know,
Our next pressing topic is probably near and dear to all of us on the segment because we all at one point played one or other. It's talking about little leagues or talking about the new edition, which is academy baseball, which is travel. Lately, travel baseball has been a 365, 12-month a year program compared to the traditional 3 months out of the summer little league. I want to ask in y'all opinion, what do you think is more beneficial, little league, where you have the opportunity to play more sports, or something more focused as a amateur travel team where you play all through the year? I want to just go around the room and just start what's better.
As an old schooler, I love being able to play football in football season, basketball in basketball season, baseball in baseball season. Had a conversation with Dusty, who I played against in high school. He went to Del Campo, I went to La Sierra. They won, we lost. It was, you know, but Bake looks for, and professional teams look for athletes that don't just focus just on baseball, but play all different kinds of sports. So I love that. Youth sports, whether it be pony or little league or, you know, whatever it happens to be. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand the travel ball thing, but in the day, when we grew up, there weren't a lot of recreational dollars to spend on a young person to be able to get him his own coach and to be able to play on that youth team. I think there are advantages to it, obviously. But guys our size, 5'6", we may not have excelled on being on a academy team where we would have excelled on being on a recreational team, because each of us grows and matures at our own level. So I like academy, but I hope it doesn't go that direction.
Yeah, I like academy too, but I as well as old school, and we were talking about character, and I think that has a big part to do with it, because in Little League there's little pressure on the kid. They're out there wanting to meet friends. They enjoy what's going around. They're happy playing catch. Good coaches keep them interested, keep them focused. They get them to learn the game, and every week move forward and forward. But I see academy being more of pressure for the younger kid. They know their parents are soaking in all this money. The coaches technically want to win. They want their academy to look good. So they hear all this. So now, not only do they have this peer pressure because they're in this little environment, but now they feel like they can't do anything wrong. They have to succeed because mom's paid all this money. The coach is here and he's given me the opportunity, and I just don't like those types of pressures put on those younger kids. I think the academies and youth are for 17 and up. That's just me.
I think I was fortunate in that I was in that transition period.
Right.
I played Little League, but then as soon as Little League ended and All-Stars ended, we had travel ball teams, but they weren't 365. They were the best of the best from the area. Right. You could either put them together yourselves. There were club teams, but they weren't year-round. They played maybe more baseball than you would regularly, but there was the Valley Vipers. We were the Brawlers, Chapter of the Brawlers. There was these teams, and we would go to tournaments all over the state. We would go out of state, but it wasn't that step now that it's under this pressure cooker of the academy. I mean, I coached academy baseball up here in Roseville. It's phenomenal. I mean, and you hit the nail on the head, I think, Todd, is that some kids can't take the pressure. Some kids thrive in that, and good for them. And they're going to probably, as long as they don't get burnt out, those are the guys that you're going to see, guys and girls, because the girls, softball academies, are going to really excel. But then kids that would have excelled and maybe excel better at playing other sports and then come back to baseball or playing them side by side, they're gonna get burnt out quicker. They're not gonna really thrive when they would have done so playing it in a different form. I mean, I love baseball to death to this day, and I played a considerable amount of it. But I think it's a different realm, and also that the academy realm really does something to not only the players but the coaches. I noticed that there was things that I really didn't like about what I saw at some of these tournaments. The behavior of these grown men in these situations, it just wasn't good examples for the kids, and it puts too much pressure.
Very good point.
I agree with the collective. Great topic, great roundtable. So we can go on and on, but that's it for the roundtable. I appreciate you guys' input, and it's been another edition of Sac Dugout. You could catch the Sac Dugout every Thursday night, 8:30 on SACDugout.com or on Channel 17 Access Sacramento. For our host Todd Sullivan, Jess Lima, our guest Tony Asaro, I'm Dominic Morris. We'll see you guys next time.